Good evening. Welcome to the Alliance for Early Childhood. My name is Stephanie Mayuri, and I'm the Executive Director. We are a collaborative community organization that supports and guides families and educators to nurture the healthy growth and well-rounded development from birth to 8 years old. We are located in the North Shore of Chicago, and we are so happy you are here, whether you are local, whether you are far away, and whether you're tuning in live or later. So thank you so much. The Alliance hosts a variety of programs and resources to support you on your journey through raising your youngest with many in-person and virtual opportunities. So tonight's program is Hello Kindergarten, helping your child transition to kindergarten after COVID disruptions. And we really feel like tonight's program is going to benefit all parents of kids from all different ages, so we can set you up for success this school year. Our program facilitator tonight is Molly Pope. She is no stranger to the Alliance. She is an infant early childhood mental health consultant, parent coach, and speaker. She's done many programs for both our parents and educators, and she is such an expert, a local expert that we love to have and learn from and with. Tonight's program is hosted in partnership with many of our elementary school member districts: Glencoe School District 35, Joseph Sears School, Middle Fork Elementary, True North Educational Cooperative 804, and Winnetka Public Schools District 36. Thank you to the Alliance Gold sponsors for helping making our programming free and open to the public: FAN, Gainsburg Law, Kenilworth Community Fund, New Trier Township, Northwestern Center for Talent Development, the schools of St. Joseph and Francis Xavier, and Winnetka Park District. And it's an exciting time to be back to school, and you might be nervous, your little ones might be nervous, and so Molly's going to help us get strategies in a very easy way for us to implement, and we're in really good hands with her. And so I'm going to turn it over to Molly, who's trying out a new format tonight, which is really exciting. Hi, Molly.
Hi, Steph. Thank you so much. Love hearing about the Alliance and all the work you guys do. Good work.
Thank you for being here. So I'm going to completely turn it over to you, and I will see you at the end, okay?
Sounds good. Okay, y'all, welcome. And I'm going to share my screen. And like Stephanie said, I'm trying a new format tonight. Let's see as my slides get going. And here I am. So yeah, it's uploading. Bam, there it is. So welcome. I'm so glad that you guys are here with me tonight. And I just want to say, well done for showing up. We have a lot on our plates right now. Transition just means there's a lot of things. So the fact that you made time to be here tonight or to listen to the recording, I applaud you and hope to really serve you well in this time. So Stephanie said it, this tonight is about getting back to school. I wanted to focus a little bit on kindergarten, but really this does span from preschool to elementary school. And really, I have a high schooler who just started school on Monday, so I'm very much in it. So with that, we'll begin. Again, I'm Molly Pope, and I have worked with children, families, and classrooms for over 17 years, and most of those years as a school psychologist. I am an infant and early childhood mental health consultant, and I work with child cares and preschools in supporting children, families, and staff with a relationship lens, because we know that that's what's most important, and that's where children thrive, when they're in strong, loving relationships. I'm also a parent coach, and I work one-on-one with parents, problem solving together so that parents can manage the challenges of family life with confidence, ease, and grace. I'm also a wife and a mother of 2 boys. Like I said, one is 14 and just started high school this week, and the other is 11. My website, my website's right there. So definitely check me out, reach out. I'd love to connect with people beyond this platform. So here's our plan. right? Everybody loves to know a plan. A plan is a great way to kind of lessen some of the anxiety. So here's where I'm taking you tonight. We're going to start you off with some strategies and recommendations for those first days. You probably already have a plan, and I hope that you'll hear something tonight that's going to fill in some gaps and support your plan. And then we're going to change and switch over and talk about feelings, because another word for transition is change, and change can feel scary. And then we're going to move on and talk about taking care of you, because you are the one driving the car, driving the ship, steering the ship, and you're getting your family across and through this big transition. So you are just as important in this conversation. We're going to talk about what makes you resilient, what makes your kids resilient, how do you get out through the other side and really come away resilient and not battered. And then I'm going to end with 3 things every parent should know about transitioning back to school, just as a way to kind of set your mind at ease and send you out strong. And then at the very end, I have a gift for you, so stick around, you're not going to want to miss it. Okay, so first day strategies. We want to prepare, we want to be able to respond, and we know we're going to probably be soothing ourselves, but really our kids. So when we're talking about going back to school, the first thing we want to do is make school familiar. For kids who haven't been to this school, that this is a new building for them, it's still sort of an abstract concept. So we want to make it concrete. So drive by the school. If you've done it once, do it again. And every time you're driving by, you're naming your child's name and saying, hi, Kaylee's school, hi, Trudy's school, right? Because you want them to feel ownership, that this is their place. Try and take a tour of the classroom. If you don't get to, right? No problem. You make your best guess from all the years of experience you've had of being in schools and being in classrooms to give your little person a picture of what's probably in that classroom. There's probably tables and chairs. There's probably books. There's probably a rug that you're going to sit on, right? Super basic. And for any other questions that you can't answer because you haven't gotten in the classroom, you say, that's something we're going to find out, right? Keep it curious, not anxious. This is a big one. Your teacher is your co-pilot now, not dog. Your teacher is your co-pilot. So you want to use their name often, right? I wonder what Mr. Ryan has set up for you for the first day of school. You're going to see if you can find their picture on a website. Again, make this abstract person concrete and real. And you're going to refer to them as having the answers, the idea, or the plan that your child is looking for, right? So they're going to have a lot of questions and a lot of curiosities. Do you know this teacher? No. But do you know that they have the answer? Probably. So this takes some trust on your part as well, because you have to trust that though they haven't done this with your kid, they have probably done this many, many times with other people's children. So really showing that you trust this teacher lets your kids start to believe like, oh, this is going to be the adult that I come to trust. Okay, so that first day, we want to think about storytelling the first day for them. So you're going to sit with them and you're going to go over the details of that first day. Kids latch on and learn through stories. In fact, we all do. So you're going to paint a mental picture for that first morning of school and how you're going to pick them up and you're going to put it all in a story. So when you go over it with them, they might have some things that they really want to ask you about and they want you to clarify. If they're asking you, it's important to them. So include it in the story. You're going to wake up and you're going to eat breakfast. Just a little side note, keep breakfast simple, the same thing that you normally have. I feel like it was in a Ramona Quimby book where I think Ramona puked on the way to school out of nervousness. If it wasn't in a Ramona Quimby book, it should have been, because it happens. Keep it nice, simple, and bland, just like every other day. They're going to get dressed. They're going to brush their teeth, brush their hair, and you're going to say the details of what you need to collect at home, your lunchbox, your backpack. How are you going to get there? You're going to drive, you're going to walk. One of the most important things is talking about how that drop off, how that release is going to go, and how that goodbye is going to be. Are you going to give them a kiss in the car? Are you going to get to walk into their class? Maybe you don't know, and that's okay. That's when you say, we're going to figure this out together. So, my advice on saying goodbye, number one, don't sneak out. Even if you're just waving goodbye on the blacktop or waving goodbye from the car, make sure they know that you're leaving. When a child's uncertain and you are suddenly absent, it can send them into a high stress mode. And then that stress is either going to go internal into some shutdown or external into tears or behavior or upset. So this is your line. It's time to say goodbye. Your teacher will take care of you. I'll always come back, right? That's a little yank from Daniel Tiger. Grown-ups always come back. If that feels a little too young for your person, you can say, I'll meet you here at pickup, right? Let them know that you are on the other end, or whoever is on the other end to get them, but also where they'll see you, right? Jake is going to pick you up. I'll see you at home at dinner time. So here's my other thing. You don't just tell a story, you want to make it real with pictures and simple stories where your child is the main character. These help a child prepare for and understand that upcoming routine. So what could that look like? Here you go. So the run in red, the one in red that I did is a full day, right? So that would be, I've talked to my kid and we've gone through all the different parts. You'll see that school is just one little part of the schedule because I don't really know how that's going to go. And that's for them to realize. Your teacher's going to take you through your day. Your teacher's going to know how that day goes. And then it covers all the way up to bedtime. Now, for some of you, you're like, oh my God, that's too much. This would overwhelm my kid. So you know your kid. Maybe you just do your morning chunk. What's that morning going to look like before school? Maybe it's the afternoon because there's some aftercare or another person's picking up your child or they have an activity after school that they need to transition to. Whatever part of the day feels like they need to have some prep and some warning, that's where you want to focus on. Straight above me here is the same thing, but just in a story form. So this I call a schedule, and this I call a story. And it just depends on your style, how creative you are, how your mind works. Do you work in stories? Do you work in checklists? And you're going to make it and then hand it over to your child. Maybe they want to keep it in their room. Maybe they want to tape it up on the refrigerator. Either way, it's for them to use as like an external soother. Oh yeah, what am I going to do? Oh, that's right. Here it is. Another important thing about the first day is to think about lunch ahead of time. So make sure that their items are unwrapped or something that they can unwrap when it gets to lunch, and include food that they like, right? This is not the time to put the healthy foods that you know your kids pick at and won't eat. No one is judging you or judging your child about what your kid likes to eat at lunch. Put in things that are comfortable and familiar and that they'll eat. The next thing there is to just understand as parents that school lunch is a social time. So they might not finish their lunch. And there could be two reasons for that. You could have a very chatty Kathy who just chit-chats the whole time and doesn't get through most of their lunch. Or you could have someone who is overwhelmed. The lunchroom has sounds and smells, and you're tight in next to people, and there's lots of movement and things happening, right? And you can get so overwhelmed or just anxious. It's so new that your belly doesn't want to have any food. And that's okay too. So anticipate that they won't have eaten their full lunch, especially on the first day, and they can eat it after school, right? That can be, their lunch is just kind of broken up throughout the day, and that could happen for a while. It takes kids a lot of maturity and focus to really eat during lunchtime because it is this social break in their day, and that's okay. I put here, practice eating from their lunchbox. That ensures that they know how to open everything. And sometimes the lunchbox is just presented differently than how they would normally eat lunch at home in your kitchen with you. And another last detail is if you just bought them a new lunchbox, make sure they know what it looks like. And they know, oh, I've got the lunchbox with pandas on it. That's my lunchbox. Otherwise, they won't even remember, and it's so new, they don't claim ownership to it. And it's like, where's my lunchbox? And of course, always something to bring up. Yes, there is a potty at school. And if you know nothing about it, you don't know if it's in the classroom or if it's in the hallway, is it just used by your kids' class? Is it used by the whole school? Then you say, I bet your teacher is going to know the answer to that one, right? But you just want to normalize, yep, and any question about the bathroom, you can ask your teacher. All right, so that was my practical rundown. I wanted to cover that practical side of things because that's really often where our brain goes. It's like the busy work that we want to get through, be like, okay, I have a plan. And I wanted to get it out of the way because during transitions, while we focus on the practical, it's usually the emotional side of the transition that's more challenging for us. So right now, we may all have some conflicting feelings about school. And I say we because parents, we are included in this. We might be excited and nervous. We might be a little happy about school returning. We might be a little sad or wary. We might feel confident, and this goes for our kids. They might feel confident about going back, or they might not, and they feel a little uncertain. There might be some denial. I'm not going to school. No. There might be impatience. I can't wait to go, right? And then there might be some grief and sadness because if school's starting, that means summer's ending. And for us, it might be if school's starting, I'm losing my little buddy. And as excited as I am for them to start school, there's a little emotional tug there. And that's a little grief. So I mention all of these feelings because it's feelings that drive behavior. So we know I have this slide in almost every presentation that I give because it is the underpinning of all the work that I do with families and teachers. Behavior is communication. You'll all see behavior in this transition over the next couple weeks. And when I say couple weeks, it's like, Molly, how long is this transition? How long is this behavior going to last? And if I was to pick a number out of the air, I would say 6 weeks. You're going to have to give this transition back to school 6 weeks. Just think, in 6 weeks, things will be different. Until then, all the behavior that you're seeing, any regressions, problems with sleep, sibling fighting, anything, you can probably pin it on this transition. So if a child's behavior is all communication, the bigger mystery is, what are they telling us? Let's talk about anxiety. What does the behavior of anxiety look like? It can look like questions. What time is it? Where's my mask? Is my backpack unzipped? Where are you going to be? Right? What are you going to be doing while I'm at school all day? So questions are a way to gain some control and soothe oneself. So it's not a bad strategy, but if you're the adult on the receiving end of it, how do you respond? So you can answer some of the questions, or you can help your child find the answer, right? And kind of hand some power back to them. You could say, oh, I answered that one already. Do you remember what I said? And they honestly might not remember, right? When we are getting in a lot of information and our emotions are high, we don't process language in real time as efficiently as we normally do. You could respond, oh, how would you find that out? And see if they can do some problem solving and maybe coach them through a little problem solving. Your go-to would be, I bet your teacher has the answer. And then you could always say, why don't you find out? Why don't you check? Right? Do I have my mask? I don't know. Why don't you check? And we're saying that in a supportive and coaching voice that we pull deep, deep from our reserves when we're feeling a little afraid. Behavior, anger, and aggression are often the language of anxiety. This is true in adults, but it's even more so in children. Because when children are overwhelmed by internal feelings they don't know how to process, that's when the outbursts and the meltdowns happen. Why is this important to know and to think about? When we see an outburst coming from a scared, anxious, or overwhelmed place, we tend to be more empathetic to our child or to the adult. So I said I was going to talk about the difference between stress and anxiety, right? Well, stress is a part of life. Stress and anxiety are both normal. Both children and adults experience this. And let's just talk a little bit about what the difference is. One way to think of it is that stress is external and anxiety is internal. So stress comes from the outside at us. There could be environmental stressors like changes in your environment, in your routine, in your caregiver. There could be physiological stressors like a lack of sleep or a lack of physical activity or sensory overwhelm. When it gets so loud, right? That's a stressor. You could have social stressors, or there's even physical stressors like illness or injury. So anxiety, on the other hand, continues after that initial cause or that initial stressor. And it usually shows up as worry or fear or even a phobia. So young children are introduced to new stressors all the time. Check out this list. New teachers and caretakers, new routines and rules, new environments, new kids to play with, new information and learning, and an ongoing pandemic. So just think about on that list, what happens with the transition back to school? Which of these is happening for your kids as stressors in their world? All of them, okay? So what I want to say here is I want us to think about healthy struggles and unhealthy struggles. These stressors that are up here are typically okay for kids. By managing these kinds of stressors, children develop flexibility, resilience, and coping skills, which all grow to be generalized the next time they're faced with one of these stressors. So let's talk a little bit about stress behavior. So I said stress behavior because we're looking at it as temporary, triggered by a stressor in life. Scoot out of the way here. And you've all seen these behaviors, right? So they're short-lived typically. But when you look at how similar we are and what the behaviors look like in us under stress, we have, again, more empathy for our children, right? So what do we do when these behaviors are coming up? It's the 3 R's. To calm and soothe your upset child, you look at these 3 R's and they're hierarchical. I'm going to get real small down here. First, you want to regulate with them. So it's what you do this. You're holding your child. You get that rock going. You might hum. Humming is a very regulating activity. It calms our nervous system as well as can be calming to our child. Because here's the thing with the 3 R's. You need to be regulated in order to provide and support the regulation of your child. So if you aren't regulated, you're not able to go to this higher step of reasoning and problem solving with them. So it always starts with you to regulate, to breathe, to calm yourself down, right? When your person is regulated, then you can go to relating, and that's when you bring in some language. You can validate your child's feelings and experience in a comforting tone. You were worried I had left without you. That must have been scary. Pause. Take another deep breath. I like to think of this as when you crack a Diet Coke and you get all the fizzies, and if you try to take your drink right away, the fizzies kind of go up your nose. That's what's happening if you try to move into problem solving before you've kind of let that relationship and that connection get reestablished. So you're naming and validating their experience, and you're pausing, and you're letting those excited Coke bubbles and all that emotion try to kind of settle down. When your child's calm, or a few hours later, when you know it's not going to set them off again, you can problem solve together, right? So take the example of you thought I left without you. You got really scared. The problem solving would be, hey, let's pick a spot to meet so we don't get lost in a crowd, right? And you might do that later when he's or she is going to be a better problem solver with you. So back to school transition, lots of opportunity to relate. So here's some things you might need to use. Feel free to take a screenshot of this, have it in your phone, right? We're naming and validating the feelings. It's okay to be bummed about school. It's normal, because it is normal. And it's okay to miss summer. I do too, right? Normalize. You're not alone in that feeling. You wished lunch was longer. I get it. When you name something that a child wanted as you wished, yes, you get me. It's a great one to use. Or you can name it like you see it. You have had a long, busy day. You're pooped. Or you can name things that you don't have any power to change, but you still want to name it. You're disappointed Julie isn't in your class. I understand. So here's some other things you might want to take a screenshot about. 9 things to say to calm an anxious child. I couldn't fit 10, so you just get 9. So I'm here, you're safe. So anxiety has a way of making things look worse and feel scarier than when we're not feeling worried, right? It amplifies. So these words offer comfort and safety to your child who's feeling out of control and that anxiety has taken over. If you're not sure what to say in a moment, this is your go-to phrase. That second one, let me worry about it so you don't have to. If you have a kiddo who goes big, who's really worried about things that are so out of their control, you want to name the adult that's going to worry about that. I don't know if we have a late start or an early start. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to bring my lunch or not bring my lunch. Some of those things with an older kid, you can have them help you problem solve. Other times you can say, let me worry about that. The third one I put in who we refer to, but it's for you to point out either a superhero or a larger than life person or a real life person that you admire and you know well. What would The Rock do? We always go to Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He's always our go-to guy. He does everything with a lot of humility and a lot of ease. We love him. Number 4, you will not feel this way forever, right? Reassuring your child that their anxiety will fade reminds them that they will feel normal again. This is temporary. That's about that tolerating piece that we want them to develop. It's uncomfortable now, but it won't be forever. I love you exactly as you are. Can take off any pressure of having to show up in a certain way, behave in a certain way, and it helps them let go of any perceived expectations that we have on them or that they have on themselves, right? It's from Bridget Jones, the movie, Renee Zellweger. right? I loved her just as she is. What's the worst that could happen? Okay, some people are like, why would I even want to go there? When you invite this into your conversation, it's like uncorking the pressurized bottle and letting out some of that pressure, because you follow it up with what's the best that could happen? What's the best case scenario? And like dream wacky. And then you can rein it in and then ask, what's most likely going to happen? And what you tend to see is people kind of land on, oh, yeah, that's what's most likely going to happen. And they kind of can let go of some of that worry that their anxious mind had kind of created for them. Another thing there, I just did it. I'm taking a deep breath and I'm going to blow out my birthday candle, right? What's your birthday candle? It's your finger. It's got a light. Right? Take a deeper exhale than inhale. And really, when you're focused on something, when a kid has something to blow, they really emphasize their exhale. You can do it a few times, and then you can start to make it a little silly and see if, here, you do one. Right? So get them kind of breathing, get them back into their body, start to regulate that nervous system. If you have someone who's a drawer, ask them, can you draw it? And then you can gently just ask, Ash, or not even ask, it's really common. Ash, your people are so big. You used a lot of blue, and see if they have any reasons or thoughts that gives you insight into how they're feeling. And then the last one, super good to have, let's get outside real quick. What are we going to do outside? We're going to move our bodies, right? Because emotion, got to metabolize that through your system and get it out. So you're going to jump off the stairs. You're going to stomp up and down. Things that give you big input are great. So is speed. So any chance you can do to get outside. Using your voice and yelling, also a great thing. Your primal scream, let it out. I feel like that's a good line to end on. You got a primal scream, go ahead and let it out. But I'm shifting because I want to talk about how on earth do you share your calm and not your chaos? Because being a warm, available adult to our children and tolerating their big emotions and relating and validating your child's responses without trying to fix it, it is draining and it is hard, period. So again, how are you going to share your calm and not your chaos? Anxiety is contagious, but so is calm. So we got this. Here we go. Oh. So this is from a few years ago. This is my boys and my nieces playing out in Rhode Island in the waves. How beautiful and clear the water is. So why did I put this picture in here? To really illustrate this idea that anxiety is like a wave. It's going to come and then it's also going to go. When your child is on the wave of anxiety, it can be scary for us, the parents, because we want to pluck them off that wave. But if we can ride it with them, with our presence, our calm, our equanimity, then we make our calm available to them. Let me just back up. What's equanimity? Our equanimity is acceptance of it is what it is. It's crappy and I can't change it. That just is what it is right now. It's awesome and it's my favorite. Great. That's temporary too. So when we can pull that up, that acceptance of the presence, the present, then we get to share that with our child. So we don't get sucked up in the chaos. We let them catch on to our calm. The wave isn't going to suck them under forever. And if we believe that, we believe in them, that you're going to be okay on this wave, that belief comes out in our hugs. and in our tone of voice and in our smile, and it's emanating out of our pores, this belief that they're going to be okay. And then they start to believe it too. I'm going to be okay. So here is my 5 strategies we're going to go through for you, the parent. Know your limits and say no. Number 1, practice calming yourself when you're anxious or triggered. It's a practice. You'll never be expert level. Promise you. It's always a practice. We're going to talk about how do you address your head trash, right? All the negative stuff, the worry gremlins that are up there. We're going to talk about how you need to have your people in mind and maybe even on speed dial who are going to be there to support you. And we're going to help you find your mantra to see you through. So, know your limits and say no. Like I said before, caring for the emotional needs of our children and tolerating their big feelings every day is draining and exhausting. That is an objective fact. You can quote me to other people. You can write it on a sticky note if you need to remind yourself. And we are still living in a pandemic, which we have all found out is also draining. So, equanimity. This is what it is. Can't change it, right? So, how do we get through it? You need to know what your limits are. When you're stretched too thin, what does that look like? When we are at capacity, the wheels start falling off of your bus. So, because we all have a different bus, we all have different baselines, my capacity looks different from yours. For me, I know when I'm at capacity because there are signs in my house. The breakfast dishes are still out at dinner time. The dishwasher doesn't get emptied. I don't check my personal email and it gets logged up. I don't wash my hair because I don't have time. And I skip exercise. So that's me. I encourage you to just take some time and think about what are your I'm at capacity signs. If you're not sure, ask your partner. How do you know when I've been stretched too thin? Because guess what? They could probably tell you. So write them down. Just own them, right? And because when you hit that point, the reason you want to know that is when you hit that point, that's when you need to take care of yourself and practice the second thing on that list, which is practical self-care. So obviously, I'm not talking about bubble baths and massages. I'm talking about taking care of yourself when you're stretched too thin. So for me, that looks like saying no to social engagements, saying no to kid commitments that are going to require me to drive them somewhere, and cooking involved meals. Your family, just like my family, will survive on soup, sandwiches, and cereal. Trust me, I've tested the theory. They're all fine. So the last one up there, ask for help. It's for people, those of us who like to do everything ourselves. And the truth is you can't. Ask your partner, ask your kids, ask another parent friend, land on concrete things that you could ask that will help you. Someone watching the kids, someone picking your kid up from school, people in your house bringing down their laundry, making dinner, someone doing bedtime for you. You need to ask for the help that you need. Number 2 on this list was about practicing how to regulate and calm yourself. With the draining and exhausting work, we want to practice calming down when we're anxious, overwhelmed, or triggered. So there's a physiological change when the emotional region of our brain takes over. And in order to move through it, you need to first just name it to tame it. I'm feeling overwhelmed by the heat and the noise. You don't need to say it out loud. You can keep it in your head. But you need to know and just name what your feeling is, right? And then how do you regulate? What are your strategies? Do you breathe? Do you move? Do you get outside? Do you take a cold drink from a straw, right? Do you take a moment in a quiet room? Do you text a friend? A little venting in the moment? Do you connect with your partner? How do you regulate? And then the second one is, how do you talk to yourself? What is your inner voice? We need to really practice and develop a kind inner voice. And some of us need a little more practice with this than others. But to say to your parent self, this is really hard. I am a good parent. I'm doing the best that I can in a tough situation. And transitioning children back to school in a pandemic qualifies as a tough situation. So we need to talk to ourselves the same way that we would talk to a dear friend who's struggling. Number 3, address your head trash. So this is when you have some negative stuff floating around up there. How do we do this? How do we shift? Maybe your thoughts like to come at 2 a.m. in the morning and you're spinning, right? If you can step out of that spinning, this is a really good prompt. Is this thought serving me? Is there another way I could think about this? And spend some time exploring that rather than deepening the grooves on your spinning thought. Again, like we did with our child, we can do with ourselves. If X does happen, what's the worst that could happen? And then go the other way. What's the best that could happen? And what is the most likely thing that's going to happen? You can invite self-kindness and let go of the things that aren't serving you. I say let go of the things that aren't serving you, both mentally in your head, some thinking, but this also covers some expectations around what school and the start of school should look like. What if your kid doesn't want to take a picture on the first day of school? Who cares? You know, what if they don't want to walk with their friend, their best friend they've known since preschool? Who cares? Those are the things we just let go. Not important, not a big deal. Okay, here's my silly one. You got to know who your people are and who can help you. You want to have people who you can vent to, who relate to you, who can help you calm down, who can make you laugh. So these are my girlfriends. We got together at the beginning of the summer. I think we are wearing eye masks, and I believe there is a nose and neck mask in the back. Who knew those even existed? These are my people. One is a parent, one is not a parent. They have known me for a long time, and they know when to take me seriously and when not to take me seriously. So think about who you have, and you might find that these people have changed during the pandemic, that your bestie that was always there really isn't the same bestie anymore, and that some of your relationships have shifted. That's okay. Embrace who is in your friend group, in your people group right now. And you want to maybe reach out to them and be like, just let me know, you might be getting some texts from me. I'm feeling a little anxious about school. Just go ahead and reach out, because they're really there to support you. They want to see you succeed, and they want to do what they can for you. Lastly, have a mantra to help soothe you, right? When you are spinning, when you are upset, something to remind yourself that this wave of feeling that you're on is temporary, that you don't have all the answers, but it will all be a lot clearer in 6 weeks. So it won't be like this forever. She's going to be just fine. Kids have survived much worse, right? A little reality check. This is my go-to and my fave. You can handle this. And then I just ordered a shirt that says this: what if it all works out? Imagine that. What if it just all works out? So you're free to take one of these. Take one that means something to you, make up your own, but something that's going to be like that wise grandma, just reminding you, this too shall pass. Okay, so now getting to talking about building resilience, right? Can't go under it, can't go over it, got to go through it. My favorite book, We're Going on a Bear Hunt. That's been my pandemic mantra. So you can't Zamboni the road for your child, or if you Zamboni the road for your child, they don't get a chance to build resilience. If we always intervene and remove the challenges for our kids, we effectively smooth it all out for them. And then where's the opportunity to build resilience, to build confidence, to build strategies? You've taken them away. So I'll just tell a quick story. I was just checking my time. I told you my son started high school on Monday. He's 14 years old. He's going back. It's pandemic. They're wearing masks. Okay, got this. I feel like I've sent him off into the great unknown. It's just high school. But I ask, how is your day? And he tells me about his time in the lunchroom. He realized he didn't know anyone, and he's more of a quieter, shy guy. He sat at an empty seat at a table with a group of kids he didn't know. They all knew each other. They're talking. And I said, oh, so did you introduce yourself? No, I just sat there in silence, Mom. I said, how did you eat? No, I was too nervous to eat. So I'm listening to him and I'm cringing inside. My heart is like, oh, my baby, right? And I had to work very hard not to jump into my school psychologist self and be like, you know how you could fix this, child, and let me fix it for you. And really just listen. And as I sat there with basically my mouth taped shut, so I didn't give unneeded advice, I realized he was really telling me and processing this story that even he found sitcom funny and cringeworthy. So give your kids that chance, right, to go through those things. That's where they're going to learn, take their takeaways. Avoidance isn't the answer. Often kids come upon this great strategy. If I just avoid it, I don't have to deal with it. And maybe she won't notice, right? It is a great coping strategy, but we know as adults that avoiding it doesn't last forever. So giving kids the courage and the encouragement to get in there and try it, even if it's, it's like your sloppy copy, that first draft, it might not be perfect. And you praise and you point out the brave things that they actually did, right? Even if they just did a little bit on their own. If they didn't avoid it, you can really comment on that bravery. Speaking of bravery, that's my guy. He, I think, was 9 years old. We were trying to figure this out. I had permission to share this photo. If any of you recognize it, you can just see in the back there, it says the Demon from Six Flags up in Gurnee, Illinois. So this is a picture he has hanging on his wall that he asked me to take after he wrote it for the first time. And the story he would tell would be that Mom forced me to do it, which is maybe a little bit true, but I knew he would come out feeling braver and more confident on the other side. So to build resilience, you want to remind them of a time that they survived, right? So to say, I have seen you be brave many times. Remember when. You want to pull up those old experiences and craft them into a story. Oh, it was a hot day at Six Flags, right? Give it some detail. You want to remind them of a previous first time that they tried something, where they did something that was new or challenging. And you want to remind them how they felt before, right? You were so worried it wasn't going to be any fun. And then you want to give them the silver lining that things worked out okay. And you want to remind them how you guys got through it together, right? I saw you do it. I was clapping and cheering. I was so excited for you. And then give them their own mantra. You are brave and kind. You can do this. I believe in you. You again want to remind them that they're stronger than this current feeling, right? I say, you are the sky and feelings are the clouds passing by. So it's not permanent. This is temporary. So to say, it's okay to feel unhappy about going back to school. You're stronger than this feeling, and this feeling won't last forever. Now, here's the trick. In order to say this to your kids, you have to believe that it's okay to be unhappy. And some of us have some old rooted beliefs that it's not okay for our kids to be unhappy. So if you have a hard time seeing your kid unhappy, or if you have a hard time being unhappy and tolerating that, then it's worth exploring, right? What's that belief about? Where did that come from? Because unhappiness is a feeling that we need to be able to tolerate and regulate in order to move through it. Okay, so here we are. 3 things every parent should know. And it's really about development, but it applies to back to school transitions. Okay. And I really put this at the end because I want to leave you with something that's solid. It's based in attachment theory. It's based in child development research. And I want you to be able to say, okay, this is real. This isn't just hot air fluff. This is real stuff I can take and know that it's true and that it's going to be okay. The first is there are a lot of chances to catch up in development. Okay, so children who are born prematurely or have delays are often found to have caught up to their peers by adolescence. Warmth, love, and sensitivity from parents can affect development in a deeply positive way. So know that you matter to your child. How you interact with them matters and impacts their development. And accepting them for who they are is key, because children do not do things on the same timetable. And I'm talking about learning to read, riding a bike, tying their shoes. Every child charts their own course, and you are there to cheer them on and accept them for who they are, because there are a lot of chances to catch up. Number 2, everything in moderation is fine. Okay? We often talk about screens. We often talk about sweets. And a little challenge, a little stress, a little unhappiness, even a little anger, all of these things are good ultimately. These things potentially motivate us or motivate our children. They teach the children about themselves. Oh, I didn't like that when that happened. Good to know. I want to avoid doing that thing again, right? I didn't like getting in trouble. Little stress. Okay, I'm going to make a different choice next time. So all of these things, stress, frustration, anger, unhappiness, and even a gosh darn pandemic, right? They help us make choices, learn about ourselves, and become resilient. And lastly, emotional regulation is the most important skill children need to learn. And in order to learn this, children need to practice 3 things. They need to practice feeling their feelings, which is often tolerating their feelings. They need to practice co-regulation with their adult. That's when you're there regulating, rocking, humming, soothing, and breathing with them. And they need to practice healthy coping strategies. And they do all this with you, a loving, supportive, regulated adult. So that's all that we've talked about tonight, is serving this ultimate goal of teaching your child emotional regulation, helping your child tolerate and regulate stress, frustration, or any other emotion is one of your main tasks as a parent. Okay, and I want you to know this, that I believe in you. How can I say this when I don't know you personally? It's because I believe with all of my heart that good parents are made and not born, that you do not have to be perfect at your parenting, that your child needs you to show up as a caring, messy person, because then they know that it's okay for them to show up as messy humans too. So just know, in all of this draining, exhausting, satisfying, heart-wrenching work of being a parent, I'm in your corner and I am rooting for you. Gonna make me tear up. So here we are. I wanted to leave you with all of this. This was the gift that I mentioned at the beginning, a free resource for you called the Good Day Guide. And this is my way of supporting you. So in there, you'll see strategies that I discussed here tonight, as well as examples and scripts. So right now, you can whip out your phone, take a picture of the QR code, or type in the address that's up above, because this is something that you can look at tonight and use to make measurable differences in your relationship with your child. And if you would like my continued support, that's where my one-on-one coaching comes in. And it's customized to meet your needs and your child's needs. And I'd love to talk to you about it. So to do that, you can go to my website and schedule a call. And here it is. There's my website. You can find me on social media. And my email, all the things. So I just want to say thank you so much for being with me tonight. I really enjoyed going over this. I think this is so important. It's what makes my heart get excited. So I'm glad to have shared it with you, and a huge thank you for the Alliance to making it possible.
Thank you so much, Molly. We so appreciate you digging into the practical side of things, but also the emotional. I just am going to echo the sharing the calm, not the chaos. I think that's so important right now. It's something that we can all take and really latch on to as we move forward into the school year, but just every day. And I just have to say, you quoting "We Are Going on a Bear Hunt," that is the best book ever. And I so appreciate that. And I use that all the time too in my life. So that made me giggle. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. There's going to be a short 5-question survey that we ask that you fill out as soon as the webinar ends. We have an exciting virtual parent series launching this fall. It's called Making Sense of Kids, What Kids Need Most from Adults, led by Deborah McNamara, who is a developmentalist. She's with Neufeld Institute. Her whole shtick is attachment. She is a counselor. She's an educator. She's a best-selling author. Rest, Play, Grows. Her book is phenomenal. We are so excited to have her. Her first program is coming up on September 14th. So mark your calendars. That will be virtual. But once again, yes, Molly, thank you. It's transformed my parenting too. It's phenomenal. But Molly, thank you for the boost of confidence. We're grateful that we have you in our corner in the Alliance. And I really loved what you said about messy parenting, and that, we as parents, if we're going to embrace messy kids, like, we should embrace that as well. And so I think that's always easier said than done, but something to just work toward, right? Like, just, this is all work in progress. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We are grateful for giving your time here, and we believe in you, just like Molly said. So best of luck, and we hope to see you at future programs. Thank you so much. Have a good night.